Hear that? Nothing? Me neither. But that's the perfect spot for your company's name to step into the spotlight. Become an underwriter for As You Mic It and let every episode be your curtain call. Slip a note to podcast@pashakespeare.org for more information.
Hello, and welcome to As You Mic It, the official podcast of Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival. I'm Jason King-Jones, Artistic Director here at PSF. Today, we're turning the spotlight on Million Dollar Quartet, the musical inspired by the legendary night when Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins gathered at Sun Record Studio in Memphis for an impromptu jam session that became music history. Later, we'll be speaking with Jim Helsinger, director of Million Dollar Quartet. But first, joining us are two artists who know this story better than most. John Gardiner, who plays Sam Phillips, the visionary producer, often called the father of rock and roll, and Jeremy Sevelovitz returns to familiar territory as Carl Perkins after performing Million Dollar Quartet productions across the country for years. John and Jeremy have worked together before, they're longtime friends, and together they spent a lot of time inside the world of Sun Record Studios. Welcome, John and Jeremy.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, thank you for being here. The day that we're recording this, we are still in rehearsals. We haven't yet even got onto the stage, but we've been jamming out in the rehearsal room. In fact, earplugs seem to be a requirement for the stage management staff. So it's been such an exciting process having you all here. And it feels like because of the history that you bring to it and the other artists in the room, it feels like everybody kind of came in with so much knowledge that we could really hit the ground running with making this particular production really special. I wonder, before we talk a little bit about your history, particularly with the show, somebody who doesn't know about Million Dollar Quartet or hasn't even heard of it, John, do you want to take this away? What's the story of Million Dollar Quartet?
Sure. In a nutshell, it is a dramatic telling of an event that really happened, which is December 4th, 1956. Mm-hmm. Sun Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. The record producer Sam Phillips, who discovered these guys, Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash. And there was one instance where they all came to the studio at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, Sam sort of instigated this a little bit. It wasn't for a recording session. It was actually Carl Perkins' recording session. Mm. But Sam, in the real story, was smart enough because he was a little bit of P.T. Barnum and Sam Phillips.
Yeah.
He called reporters.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you might want to come down and take a picture of this. It's on Studios. So they left. There's a real recording out there. You can find it on YouTube. He just pressed record. It's them singing gospel songs and just jamming away. And they took this famous picture.
Yeah.
And the newspapers called it the Million Dollar Quartet.
Yeah.
Is the story that we're seeing when we're watching the dramatic telling similar to what happened that night? Or is that part of like the writers taking a creative liberty? What's that all about?
You're getting a lot of 1956 and even a little into what would happen after this night, all sort of put together.
Okay.
Again, like John said, started off as a Carl Perkins recording session. A very young, very green Jerry Lee Lewis, I think, was on one of his earliest sessions. There's legend has it that Johnny Cash was called in to pick up a paycheck and Elvis just happened to be in town. And again, having that foresight of putting these three stars, Carl, Johnny, and Elvis, in a photograph with his new up-and-coming star, Jerry, would be a great marketing push. It all sort of came together. And some of the dramatic elements that we cover in the show maybe didn't happen exactly in December of that year, but happened shortly after, and would lead into the rest of the career for these legendary guys.
These events really happened. It's more a matter of it's a compression of time.
Sure. Mm-hmm. When I think about Elvis, when I think about Johnny Cash and Jerry Lee Lewis, we think about them as established stars.
Right.
This story really hits them on the verge of greatness, and some of them not even discovered yet, right?
Right.
Like Jerry Lee Lewis. But Elvis is now like starting to be a breakout, and he's been in some movies, and he's no longer contracted with Sun. But these are young men really on the verge of that greatness, and that's what I find fascinating about the story. What's it like to tackle these artists who are scrapping around and trying to fight to make a name for themselves? I'm looking at you, obviously, Jeremy, because you play Carl Perkins, who that's very much what his story is.
Absolutely.
Like.
Honestly, when I look at the four of them, I sort of have the easiest job, I think, in the sense that when you think of Elvis, when you think of Johnny Cash, everybody has their particular touchstone moment with Elvis or with Johnny. They're thinking The Man in Black, or they're thinking of the 68 comeback or the jumpsuit era and all of that. And we're going way back. We're going back before Live at Folsom Prison. We're going back to the pink Cadillac days of Elvis.
Yeah.
Again, with Jerry Lee sort of starting out, he, I believe at this point, had only recorded Crazy Arms. So Great Balls of Fire, Whole Lot of Shakin', those aren't even really in the world yet. And Carl has just come off of Blue Suede Shoes, and a lot of people didn't even know that was a Carl Perkins song. Right. A lot of people don't even really know who Carl is by comparison to those other three. So as an actor, it's sort of I say again, the easiest job, because I don't have an expectation from an audience member. They're going, I knew the other three, but I didn't know anything about you. And if I could Google Carl Perkins, that's the biggest compliment to me, that I've made an impression that they want to do a deeper dive.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, all of these guys were really incredible musicians for being non-musicians at the time.
What do you mean by that, by being non-musicians?
Like when you think of, let's say, Johnny Cash, for example, you think of that train beat. Well, Fluke, who was their drummer, W.S. Holland, wasn't a drummer. He just happened to have a station wagon that was big enough to put equipment in, so he got into the band. And he didn't know how to set up the drums. So when you see these photos of the early days, it's all set up backwards, and you're like, was he a lefty? He just didn't know how to do it.
He didn't know what he was doing.
On those early recordings of Cash, there's no drums. They put a dollar bill in between the strings and just made that sound. And when you know that and you go back and listen to it, you go, wow, I thought there was a kick drum. There's nothing in there. At this point, too, from a guitar standpoint, from Carl's avenue, we're really talking about the early days of rock and roll. Rocket 88, which was I think it was a Jackie Bresden song. Ike Turner was the original guitar player on it. That's the first time recorded distortion really came in, because they cranked an amp a little too loud, not knowing what that was going to do. And it created this crunchy sound. And everybody went, well, that's new. Let's try that. So, this trial and error of the process really gave birth to this sound.
I love that idea. And I love that idea because it also comes up in the play where, like, Sam Phillips, John, you really keep pushing these guys to do something new. Like, don't do Dean Martin. We already have that. We don't need to hear that. We need something new. There's this push for innovation through the sound. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that journey is like for you as the character, and how that's so much a part of the story, is looking for that next new thing?
Sure. Yeah, Sam Phillips he's an interesting character and absolutely revolutionary for his time.
Yeah.
He had a plum job in Memphis. He got the job of his dreams as a DJ, introducing big bands on top of, what's the famous hotel with the ducks?
The Peabody.
Thank you, Peabody Hotel. I mean, literally, he said, I had the job of my dreams, and decided to smash it. Because he said what he would do is he would go out on like Bourbon Street, and he would hear these amazing black blues artists. And he said, no, this is it. And he basically put his big cush job aside to take a risk on recording these things. So all of that, which isn't covered in MDQ, but that's the backdrop for this.
Right.
He started recording these famous blues artists, like he discovered B.B. King and Howlin' Wolf, and then made the jump from there to be like, oh no, this is the direction music's going. And that inspired him to then, when he discovered Carl and Elvis and all these people, that's sort of the backdrop behind all of this.
And so in the story then, like, Sun Records is on a precipice. The kind of engine of this play is, will Sam sell out Sun Records or not? And really, like, the whole play kind of hinges on that decision point. And there are a lot of people who are looking to kind of outgrow this small little auto part studio turn recording studio, right, into Sun Records. Can you talk a little bit about that journey that Sam Phillips is in this play?
Sam is sort of at a crossroads in this play, where he's had some pretty decent success with, like, Blue Suede Shoes. He's, of course, sold Elvis to RCA, but he's now at this point where, is he going to sell out to RCA, or is he going to try to keep muddling through, discovering people and following his heart?
Yeah.
And he struggles with that through the entire play, then makes a decision at the end. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Yeah. Are you going to follow your heart and your integrity, which is risky, or are you going to take more of a comfortable sellout choice?
Oh, that's really hard, though, because, like, you know, you've got a family to feed, right? Like, you know, December of 1955, you weren't buying Christmas presents for your kids, according to this story, right? Like you didn't have the money.
That's right.
Because of your distributors weren't selling those records. It seems like it's idealistic to say, like, yeah, you're going to follow your heart, but, like, sometimes you've got a family to feed. You've got responsibility too.
And I think that touches on another really big theme in the show, is the family dynamic. All of these guys coming up from the South, a lot of them had very checkered relationships with their fathers, with their family members. And Sam is sort of that shepherd, that father figure to all of them.
Yeah.
And one of the themes that we've been digging into, that moment in all of our lives when we sort of realize it's time to leave the nest. It's time we sort of are outgrowing our parents, and it's time to become our own individuals. And I think that really affects Carl and Johnny especially. Elvis is already sort of out the door.
Right.
The situation he's in, I mean, if you know anything about the Colonel, yikes.
Yeah.
You know, that's sort of that moment of, oh, maybe I should come back home. And the other guys are looking and going, maybe I should move out of the basement. Maybe it is time to you know, see what else we can accomplish.
For anybody who's not dug into the history of Elvis or hasn't seen the Baz Luhrmann, who the Colonel does not really show up. He showed up. He's referenced once in this
He's
play.
referenced a couple of times. Again, sort of my understanding of it was Elvis started out with Sam. They had made some good records. The Colonel came in, brought the flash, and said, hey, we'll make you a lot of money.
Right.
We'll get you a bunch of things. We'll get you a house. We'll get you girls. We'll get you a car, whatever you need. And in order to keep the lights on with Sun, Sam makes the deal and sort of signs him over to the Colonel. And as the years went on, the Colonel, I think it was like, had a 50% hold on everything Elvis did. They re-recorded a lot of his early recordings and any other songs. If you were a songwriter and Elvis covered your song, as soon as they recorded it, Elvis now owned 50% of your royalties and rights.
That's wild.
A heck of a negotiator. And I mean, in those days, I guess, you know, the biggest fist makes the move. But
that takes the heart out of making music because you love music, right?
Right.
And honoring the artist who created the music. And now we're really talking about appropriating other people's artistic work, naming it as your own, and then putting that in the history books as Blue Suede Shoes is a Elvis song and not a Carl Perkins song. That had a major impact on Carl himself, too, right?
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk a little bit about where we're meeting Carl in this story?
Absolutely. We're meeting Carl after the success of Blue Suede Shoes. He was the first Triple Crown winner, so that was top of the charts with the
pop, blues, and country.
That's right.
Yeah.
And on his way to New York to perform on the Perry Como show, they get into a terrible car accident. The other driver, I believe, passed away. Carl is thrown from the car, wakes up in a ditch, was pulled out from drowning in a puddle on the side by Fluke, the drummer. In reality, Carl Perkins' brothers, Jay and Clayton, were also members of the band. We combine them sort of in this show to be Brother Jay.
Right.
From a head injury from that wreck, Clayton dies a few years after. So they're really clawing their way back from the bottom.
Right. And so close to being at the top, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's a pretty hard fall. And in his recuperation period, Elvis goes on to, I believe it was Milton Berle's show was the first time he did Blue Suede Shoes. And he sort of did it as a tip of the hat to, hey, get well soon. But they sort of cut that part out, put the song out, and all of a sudden everybody is seeing Elvis. So Carl is sort of in this moment of, well, if that had been me,
right,
where was my rocket launch to stardom?
Right.
So
yeah, and Carl is an exceptional guitar player too, right?
Yes.
Electric guitar, that sound, right? Like
yeah.
Elvis has a Martin with a leather cover on it, and he's strumming away,
and a phenomenal voice, and the charisma, and you know, a better jawline. But but in that moment, Carl sort of sees, okay, the path I thought I was on is no longer open to me. How can I evolve? How can I grow? And became the birth of rockabilly.
Yeah.
And sort of has that, you know, that chicken picking twangy sound that a lot of musicians really responded to as like, this is the origin of why I want to be a musician.
Right.
But as far as the mainstream was concerned, it was a little more on the indie side. People didn't quite dig it as much as they dug Elvis out front.
Yeah, what was it? Was George Harrison?
That's right.
Was like quoted saying Carl Perkins was like his biggest influence.
Yeah. And they said that if there was no Carl Perkins, there would be no Beatles. Yeah. So take that, Elvis.
No, it also makes me think about, like, what does it take to be a star in a field like rock and roll or just musical entertainment? I mean, like, I open up Spotify today, and before I'm like even turning on the music, I'm watching a dance video.
Right.
To be a star, it's so much about the package of performing, and to be a musician, to be an exceptional musician, does not mean that there's a future for you that is going to be filled with, you know, with $1 million checks.
Yeah,
right?
most of the greatest musicians that you will hear, you probably don't know their name.
Yeah.
You know, they're the session guys.
Yeah.
They're the classical composers and musicians that are playing in orchestras or in a Broadway show pit. You know, they're just, these guys can do anything. Guys and gals can just do anything that you put in front of them. But if you put them with a microphone and a spotlight, maybe that's not their strong suit. Sure. So you have the showman element that clearly Elvis had, that charisma, just poise that Johnny had, or just the wild antics that Jerry had, you know, and Carl sort of sat somewhere in the mix.
Well, and one thing that I think this show does really well that is true is that Sam Phillips had a way of coaching these different things out of these different stars.
Yeah.
And he approached each one differently. How to get that sound out of Elvis, it took them all night. You know, they were banging their head against the wall. We compressed that in the play. They were taking smoke breaks and they were like, let's try this, let's try that. And Jerry Lee, within 10 seconds, you're just like, okay, like just add water. Like that's that is ready for airplay. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating. And I think so many great producers through time have that where they're like, oh, I need to talk to these people differently. How can I get the best out of each one?
Yeah. That's a lesson in management, right? Like you can't. It's not a cookie cutter. It's understanding what to draw out of the individual. But it's also in Sam seeing the potential in those people, right? Because he wouldn't have spent all night banging his head against a wall if he didn't think that there was something there that Elvis could do that no one else could do. You
know, there's a million documentaries out there, but there was one I was watching about Sam Phillips, and he talked about. He's like, oh yeah, we were basically just audition station. He's like, we just listened to more auditions and people coming. He's like, that was most of our job. But it's just people lining up to be like, okay, let's hear another one, you know.
Yeah.
And he just had the ears to be like, that one. And his secretary.
Yes.
Is that what you're going to say?
I was going to say, his secretary, Marion, was sort of that first line of everyone would come in. They'd get the sort of up and down. They'd go in, and then at the end of the night, they'd sort of go, "What did you think of this? What did you think of that?" And actually, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, but Sam wasn't even in the building when Elvis showed up the first time.
Yeah,
he auditioned for Marion, and some days later or whatever it was, they were looking for another singer, and Marion said, hey, what about that ballad singer, this Presley kid?
Yeah. They said he initially came in, quote unquote, to make a record for his mom's birthday. And Sam wasn't there. And when they were like, well, I don't know, who do we have? Mary, and they were out to lunch or something. She's like, what about that boy with the sideburns?
That's right. Yeah.
Amazing. Good thing he kept those sideburns so he had the signature look, right?
And Nick will tell you the reason they had that because he was so poor, he couldn't afford haircuts. They'd grow over his ears. People make fun of him.
Wow. Yeah. It's just so hard to think about these people as poor kids struggling to make it happen. It's also difficult to imagine a universe where these songs didn't exist.
Sure.
So this idea that Carl Perkins was the person who put together Blue Suede Shoes, the fact that, Walk the Line, that came out of the soul of Johnny Cash. There's so much a part of our culture now.
Right.
I find it easy for us to get settled, especially like as I get older, thinking about, okay, well, here's the music that I like. And this is the music that I like. And to think that, so would I be one of those like Dean Martin, Perry Como kinds of people like, what's that garbage y'all are playing?
Sure.
Right? Well, that's the devil's music, right? Because that's going to make me gyrate. So to think about this also as this music being subversive and that you're creating something that is actually culturally challenging for some people and even being preached against as we kind of have a little bit in this story. I wonder if you can talk a little bit about the history of how rock and roll was not necessarily the kind of thing that now we're ready for, it's nostalgia now, but at that point it was cutting edge and dangerous for the society.
One thing to mention is, and what makes it such a push-pull with these guys is Sam, Jerry Lee, all these guys, Elvis, they were all churchgoers.
Yeah.
They were highly religious.
Sure.
And so they had this moral quandary of, are we going to go to hell for making this music?
Right.
And there were numerous conversations that they would have. And we think about that now and we go, this is crazy. It's just, music. Like you said, it's just in my phone. And they were really, they spent time mulling this over. Mm-hmm. It's that old thing of it's dangerous until it's not. Yeah. Where, what is it they say? Actors used to be buried at the crossroads. They not in a Christian cemetery back in the ancient times. And
outside of the city walls.
That's right. That's right. And it was almost like that trickled down to, well, if you're making rock and roll, that's the devil's music.
Mm-hmm. And then at the same point, too, that question of why would God give me this gift if I wasn't supposed to carry this on?
Right.
Was it just a temptation that I wasn't supposed to go for, or is this what I'm supposed to do? And I think all of them struggled with that for a long time.
And I feel like that's not a one-off. I remember hearing a story about Bono and The Edge when they were on the verge of it all blowing up. The back of a tour bus, they had to make the decision if they were just going to quit music. And I'm like, this has echoes through time.
Yeah.
And not only was it dangerous in the sense of the religious aspect, but it also was pushing the racial lines at this point, too. We're talking 1956. Big separation there between the black artists of the day and the white artists.
We're very much in the segregated
South
while this
very
is happening.
Much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that danger of, hey, well, I don't, everybody listening to the same music, wanting to dance together, wanting to celebrate this new sound and this new era.
Right, and this sound that often came from black music. Well,
that's right.
And so these are white artists that are kind of finding a way to kind of play this music that, as you said, Sam, heard, on Beale Street with B.B. King and other really great well-known black artists, but wouldn't be played on radio or listened to, rather, and purchased in albums by the white kids who were listening to it.
Yeah, at this time, this is sort of this inflection point where, and I'm sure people know this, but it's worth mentioning, that they would just take black artist songs and just re-record them with like rather lame white artists. We allude to that once in the show, make fun of it. That like Perry Como was
and Pat Boone.
Exactly. Or recording like Long Tall Sally, and you're like, what in the world? But I feel like then Sun Records was like, no, we can make this music ourselves. We don't have to steal it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's how like Elvis and all this spun off. Yeah.
Well, let's shift gears and let's talk about just the history that you two have had with working on the show. Jeremy, this is number 21.
That's correct.
You?
This is my 21st production since 2016. So it's been quite a ride, even through the pandemic. I've been clipping away.
So then,
job security.
Well, so my question for you is like, how does an artist like you then keep a story like this fresh? The craft is there and it's excellent and everybody's got to come see the work that you do. How do you keep it fresh and alive?
Well, what's really exciting, again, being that this show is a group of actor-musicians, right? We are not only a company of actors telling you a story, but we're also the band on stage. Every note that you're hearing is created live right in front of you.
Right.
So what's really exciting is when you sort of look at the score and it just says, okay, Carl takes a solo. There's nothing written there for 16 bars. So that just gets to be whatever my hands decide to play. And sometimes it's better than others. But
Jerry Lee Lewis has brains in his fingers, so we know those are going to be okay, right?
And in the musicality of it, it is really fun to just sort of throw something at the wall and see what sticks. And having done so many productions, as Connie and I were talking about, being sort of the nexus of this company where I've worked with all of the other members in different incarnations, there's certain things that I'll play something and Dominique, who plays Jerry Lee, will hear it and he'll mimic it right back to me.
Yeah.
Chuck will, on bass, will add a different walk one night, and Mike will play a different sort of fill that puts us in a slightly different rhythm, and everybody sort of goes, whoa, all right, and we're sort of riding that wave together. Yeah. And then switching gears over to the acting side of it, what's actually with this process in particular, having this company of actors who have all clocked so many miles with these characters, Jim brought us back to the table.
Yeah.
Which is something that typically when a rehearsal process starts, everyone sits down with their script. We do a table read, we do dramaturg discussion, and we really dig in. Not so much with MDQ. Most of the time it's, all right, guys, well, let's plug in and let's see what kind of music we have. But this, having everyone having this experience, we were able to really do a couple of days of deep table work.
Wow.
To just really feel who these guys are and take new approaches to each of our characters.
Yeah, I have to compliment Jim Helsinger, our director, on this, because one, he saw this wealth of knowledge in the room of these people that have done this show so much.
Right.
But I really feel like this production in particular is special because it almost got approached from a Shakespearean perspective where the table work and the diving into text. And he did a cool thing where he had us all come in and almost do a little, not presentation, but give a little talk about our character.
Oh, wow.
And went around the table. I've never had as deep a dive into Million Dollar Quartet as we did in this rehearsal process. And you could feel it. Then you get up to do the music and, work on the script on its feet. And you go, oh, this feels deeper.
Yeah.
It's going to be a special production.
Yeah. And also to Jim's credit in that as well, not only did we present our sort of character analysis, but also something we were looking forward to trying in this process that may have been different from others. And just hearing what everyone else is sort of, hey, I'd like to work on this. I'd like to explore that.
What kind of examples do you have? I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, for Carl, I've always known, he was a bruiser. They came up from sharecropping. They were not really in school very much. Right. So I've always played him with this aggressive sort of edge. My song, I want back on top. It's my session, all of that.
Yeah.
But I read a quote that said some years after Blue Suede Shoes, Carl saw his name on the Goodyear blimp. And instead of being filled with joy, he was struck down with fear. And this imposter syndrome, this insecurity of, oh my God, how am I ever, I'm on the Goodyear blimp. So exploring that vulnerability and sort of that angle, instead of coming at it from an aggressive standpoint, it's I don't know if I still got it. Let's see. And that informed a lot of unique and new choices sort of across the board.
For Sam Phillips, really leading into his duplicity this time around.
Yeah.
It's so easy with characters, especially ones where you're tracking whether they're going to make, a questionable decision or so let's say you're playing a villain or something like that it's easy to play them as like two-dimensional people. Like, well, they just want the money or, they just, and Sam Phillips is a contradiction.
Yeah.
Like
a human?
Like a human being.
Exactly.
Like Jeremy. No, not me. Things like he demanded this like loyalty.
Yeah.
And at the same time is secretly thinking about selling, the whole thing to RCA.
And was skimming royalties here and there.
That's right. And was
Sam bought Carl or bought somebody, one of the artists he bought him a Cadillac because the record was doing great. But he bought the Cadillac with their cut of the royalties.
That's right.
But hey, man, it got a big bow on it. Wow, how great is that? Where's my check? You're driving it? Oh, got it.
So there's all like, the other people are giving 5%. He's only giving 3%. Oh, it's all about family. Well, he's secretly having an affair. I mean, like, it's just, it's a real, and so to lean into that idea of, and we talked about this. This is the benefit of people who have done the show a bunch, where you can get into the super gritty details and find all those nuances, as opposed to, let's just see if we can get through the songs. Jim kind of helped walk us through that. It was awesome.
Yeah. So then, when did the two of you meet? Curious.
We met doing
We went to high school prom together. No, I'm just kidding. No, we did the show together in Orlando.
That's right.
That was,
when was that?
4 years ago?
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, kept in touch since then. And fast friends.
Yeah.
And so this is what I also find so curious about this process, because I was a part of the casting process,
right?
But it started with hiring Jim to be the director for the show.
Sure.
And then it was like, oh well, then Orlando Shakes did the show. He produced it. He didn't direct it. No, there was this guy named Jeremy who was in, and there was this guy named John who did it. And so then it became so much about relationships, and then getting Dominique in as the music director. Then it was like, oh well, I know 4 guys who could play these particular roles.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the cool thing about MDQ is that, as you can imagine, it is a special set of skills.
It is. Indeed.
It's a small fraternity of people that can do this, and so. People that can play the guitar like Jeremy, can play the piano like Dom. It's one of those deals where you go, okay, well, there's a set group of people. And so the different pieces that you get, it really determines your show. It's like you're baking, And you get to, and everybody knows everybody. It's like this small little world.
Yeah. It's, and again, throughout the industry, the typical process, you submit your headshot and resume, you get an audition, you go in, you have 2 minutes in the room, hopefully you nail it, and then callbacks, whatever, contracts, and then you're on the gig. This one typically starts with a text message of, hey, got a call about this thing in July. What's the summer look like for you? And it's sort of I'm good with that, or I can't, but here's the list of 3 other guys who could step in. I mean, we're at a point, too, where some of the guys in this fraternity, as you said, get a call and say, hey, we need some coverage for a weekend. Can you fly in on a Friday, see it Friday night, go on Saturday and Sunday, and then fly out Monday? And that's happened in the past as well. It's fun, sort of ragtag bunch of misfit toys, and we just all get to play together.
I mean, Jeremy, I remember, what was it? It was a couple of years ago where you were like, short text, haven't talked in a while. Hey, Sam Phillips sick in Maryland.
Yeah.
Are you free to play Sam Phillips next week? And
can you swing in for a week or something?
Never mind, got better. But it's like it's a lot of I know a guy.
Yeah, it's a friend of a friend sort of putting it together.
All right, well, so welcome to this fraternity here. So for the audience who maybe they've seen a production of Million Dollar Quartet, but we've already convinced them that they should see it if they haven't.
Absolutely.
But let's
Get
say
your
that
tickets now.
That's right. Let's say that they haven't seen this production, but maybe they're aware of it.
Okay.
What's going to make this particular production here at Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival the one that everybody must see? We're going to close out the conversation with that question.
This band is one of the finest group of musicians I've had the pleasure to play with, and not just because they're some of my best friends. Truly, the musicality in the room is unmatched. And again, because we're taking that deep dive into the story and really creating human characters on stage, it's not just these caricatures of what you might expect.
Yeah.
I think this one's really gonna hit you in the heart and keep your ears ringing.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think I've seen this production done a bunch of different ways, and it's easy to make it a cartoon. Yeah. It's easy to make it into Elvis impersonators and all that. Yeah. And I think the thing that makes this so special is here at Pennsylvania Shakes is this idea of you feel like you've gone back in time and you're seeing real people. I mean, everybody loves, an origin story or a prequel and that kind of thing. But like you alluded to before, seeing these superstars before they were superstars, like these real people in this incredible music where you feel like you're in a time machine.
And this sense of community that really is brought in with not only the people on stage, but also bringing it to the community here in Pennsylvania. It's a story with a lot of heart and a lot of family values, and we're just excited to share that.
Yeah, you know the music. Now come see the story.
Exactly.
Excellent. On that tagline.
Yeah, not bad, John. Not bad
copyright
at all.
Gardiner. In true Sam Phillips style, you all get 5% of that.
Yeah,
I get 95 for the t-shirts.
Thank you all so much, Jeremy Sevelovitz, John Gardiner. Much appreciated. And we look forward to seeing you on stage for Million Dollar Quartet.
Our pleasure. Thanks for
Rock
having
and roll.
us.
Ready for an epic summer? Experience the Legends and Legacy season at PA Shakespeare Festival. It's a summer of unforgettable stories, rock and roll nights, and heartbreaking rivalries. Subscriptions to the 2026 Summer Theater Series are on sale now. Subscribe today at pashakespeare.org.
Our next guest is a longtime friend of the festival. You might recall his work here at PSF, just to name a few, as actor in The Tempest, also The Importance of Being Earnest, and in directing works like Lend Me a Tenor and The Mystery of Irma Vep. Additionally, artistic director at Orlando Shakes. He's returning to direct this summer's production of Million Dollar Quartet. Welcome, Jim Helsinger.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much. I know that you're very, very busy right now. You're in tech right now?
Yeah, we're on the stage. Today, after I finish this, we will be setting all the sound levels. We were staging last night on the stage, very exciting. And then tomorrow, we'll start adding all the lights and the costumes and everything, getting ready for the opening next week.
So you have this remarkable cast. We have Dominique Scott, who is our music director and also playing the role of Jerry Lee Lewis. John Gardiner as Sam Phillips. Jeremy Sevelovitz as Carl Perkins. We have Nick Voss as Elvis. Chance Michael Wall as Johnny Cash. Chuck Zayas, the original OG, as Brother Jay. Mike Luchetti as Fluke on drums. And we have Shannon Mullen as Diane. Even our understudies, John Acorn, we have Adam Del Medico, we have Justin Bendel. All of them, between them, have thousands upon thousands of performances.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. One of the intimidating things for me as the director is all the actors have done it more times than I have. Mm-hmm. So we really wanted to build an ensemble, and I wanted to make sure we had their ideas because they have a lot of experience.
Absolutely.
We did this production, or a production of Million Dollar Quartet down in Orlando 3 years ago. And I told Jason, hey, if you want a big hit that your audiences are just going to love, have a look at Million Dollar Quartet. So I'm really blessed in a number of people from the Orlando production are coming up. Jeremy was in the Orlando production. John was in the Orlando production. Adam, who's the guitar tech and also understudying all three of the guitarists, which is a big job, was in our Orlando production. And a lot of my stage management staff is from Orlando. I'm sure I'm missing a few people, but it's really nice to come up with history of the show, working on the show before, and then add into that. Mike has done 23 productions of this musical.
Amazing.
Chuck has celebrated over 3,000 performances of it. So they really know this really, really well. And not only is it great for this production, but the amount of time we've spent in background talking about 1956, about the beginning of each of their careers, about what was on the Billboard Top 10 in country and R&B and music at that time. Each little detail. I love discovering about a time period when we're working on a play. It's one of the things I love about theater is you're always gaining a new knowledge base. as you're playing characters or directing or finding out about a new production. And we've had a really, really good time.
Jeremy had brought up the process of discovering more about each of the individual characters and that bit of homework that you asked them to do before they came in. And he said that it was a really big part of helping not just develop their character, but understand what the other characters are thinking about. That actually brings to mind a different aspect of what we're offering here at Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival to other people who might have seen Million Dollar Quartet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it does focus a lot on story, doesn't it?
Yeah, although it would be deemed a musical, it's really a play with music. Mm-hmm. They are playing their songs that they made famous, and meanwhile, there's this big conflict brewing on it. This is a true event. This actually took place in December in 1956, and there is a recording of Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis Presley and Carl Perkins and Johnny Cash all actually doing it from Sun Studios. It was recorded on that day, and then it kind of went into a vault until 1990 before it ever came out. So it was interesting, the Million Dollar Quartet, and from that, the musical was developed. But there's what actually happened. I mean, it's a little abbreviated in time, as movies and books and plays always are, to keep to what's exciting, is that although Sam is getting together with them, Sam Phillips, who is really the godfather of rock and roll, the beginning of what really is rock and roll, comes from Sun Studios. Mm-hmm. RCA and Columbia stole that and then really grew it into something huge. And when we're at the beginning of the play, Sam has already lost Elvis to RCA. He's now an RCA artist.
Right. A bit to his embarrassment, or professional embarrassment.
I mean, he explains in the play he had to do it. Sun Studios was broke. He was about to lose the business, and RCA came to him and said, we want to buy Elvis's contract, because Elvis was now with the Colonel, which a lot of people know that story, and they wanted to grow him to a larger organization. And Sam, at that time, thought, that's ridiculous. I'm going to give them the highest price I can possibly think of. The highest any moving sign had done before, I think, was $25,000. And he said, okay, I want $40,000. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, there came a check for $40,000. And in the long run, this is considered by many people a mistake of Sam's. Now, in his opinion, he had to do it to save the business, but only in the next year, just one appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show brought Elvis more than $50,000. Yeah. So in the long run, you know, he becomes one of the most famous recording artists of all time on RCA, and not with Sun Records, although Sam gives him the start. He says in the play, without Sam Phillips, I'd still be driving a truck. Mm-hmm. He took a chance on them when no one else would, in little Sun Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. So he's trying to retain the other artists. He's trying to work with Carl to get him another hit, because he put out Blue Suede Shoes, which is a huge hit, but he hasn't really had one in a little while. Mm-hmm. He's trying to re-sign Johnny Cash, whose contract is almost up. And Johnny's been very successful, very quickly. All of them hit success really fast in a year or two, which is, it takes people decades to develop a career. And so he's really looking forward to kind of keeping as much of his stable as he can. But what he doesn't know, and I don't want to give too much away for those coming to see it, is they have other plans. Yeah. And those all clash. So we find out a lot about them as individuals. We find out a lot about the conflicts that they have in this evening, besides hearing some of the best rock and roll you will ever hear.
You know, you have these artists who have done this so many times. How do you encourage them to bring something new? How do you encourage them to not fall into old habits? Say, oh, well, when I was in Pittsburgh, I did it this way, or in Vegas, we like to do it like this. How do you create something that is organic to Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival?
Well, a couple things. One, the stage at Penn Shakes is such a great stage. It's a proscenium stage, but because the orchestra pit is up, it's also a modified thrust theater. And if you've been in that theater, the theater really kind of wraps around the artists. So that sense of thrust is something a lot of them, they've done very straight proscenium theater. And it is more immersive. It is more interactive with the audience, which is a thing I really believe in from my Shakespeare work. So there's that element to it. And then I said, when we first got together, if you have an idea from another production that adds to the character, adds to the staging, what we're doing, by all means, bring it. The only thing I'm not looking for is that's the way I've always done it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that doesn't mean that's the way we're going to do it this time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a yes and to add into that, I did this production where we did this, then that could come in. And although they've all been in lots of productions of this, not all together.
Mm-hmm.
So different elements were coming in from each person. And then I think the thing that really made it new for us were text sessions. I'm a Shakespearean.
Yeah.
We sit down with the script and we talk about variations and we look up every word and we talk about, it's what we always do with a Shakespeare play because we've got a language barrier and we're trying to get over it with our audiences. And this is a fictionalized event, a fictionalized realization of a real event.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to find out, when did each song actually come out? Are we abbreviating that time? Are we dead on? Well, was that conflict really true or not? So we did a lot of research sitting around the table. Each person had 10 minutes to just talk about, this is what I think about Carl Perkins, and playing him before. This is what I think. And then we started talking about what's the objective of each person in the course of the play for the listeners, actors and plays. Each character has what do they want during this time period? What do they want? What are they willing to do to get it? And what's the obstacle in their way? Sam is trying to re-sign them. That's his objective on tonight. And what are the obstacles he needs to go through to get there? And what's he willing to do to try to get that to happen? So I think discussions on that kind of made it all new for everybody, to rethink it, to look at it again with fresh eyes, which is what we always want to do with theater. Shakespeare's around for 400 years. There have been lots of productions. But every time, this is a new production with these actors in this space for this audience. And all those things are new.
I really love hearing that you took a more dramaturgical approach to exploring the characters and exploring the text, and really taking this. Hi. By the way, this is James. I don't know if you've met him.
James, welcome.
James is our podcast intern, and he's also the company manager, so he went to go pick people up, but he's going to be joining us.
Probably picking up Suzanne O'Donnell, my wife.
That's right.
Who's here for Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, I told him to drive slowly and carefully because his priority is the precious
drive
cargo.
Slowly and carefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll have to have Suzanne on the podcast because she's playing the nurse now, and she was Juliet in the very first production of Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival in 1992.
No joke. We've already had her on the podcast, and I also want her to come back for our Community Day episode.
Yay, great.
Yay.
Great.
Before we were so rudely interrupted, James. What I was saying was I absolutely appreciate that you are taking this dramaturgical approach to the text for Million Dollar Quartet. I think that a lot of times, because people come in, a lot of cast might come into this having done it before and having just said, okay, I got this. Let's just put on a show. And you're bringing a really different aspect that shows the heart and it shows the soul in this story of American rock and roll.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I wanted to give people a little peek behind the curtain on is when we were doing the casting process, it wasn't just about watching them sing and dance. And it wasn't just about that, but it was really looking at their acting and seeing what more are these individuals going to offer.
Yeah, as I said, it's much more a play with music than it is a musical. And there are a lot of scenes, a couple heavy scenes in it, real conflict in them. And that's very, artists are known for having passion. Well, that passion is not just in the song.
Absolutely.
That's in their lives too. So we have to, Jerry Lee Lewis at this time is brand new to Sun Records. He's recorded his first song, Crazy Arms, 3 days before this takes place. And he is an amazing piano player, as everyone knows now. But at this time, this is just starting to be a potential thing. But he has a towering ego. And it's funny to see this guy who at this time has done nothing with a towering ego, telling Elvis and Carl Perkins and Johnny Cash that in his next record, they could be background singers.
Yeah.
And they're looking at him like, Who are you?
You're 12.
What are you doing? You have your record's not really out yet. It is a hit. He's already calling it a hit record, and it's been out 3 days. So we're dealing with a lot of issues of personalities, and I think that's. And why does an audience come to the theater? They come to enjoy and see life on stage. Not everything, but the important things. They come to hear the music, but they also come to see conflict and conflict resolved on stage. And how do people dealing with other people? We learn, we see. And I think it's very much a piece about that with talent also comes the challenge of ensemble. You're not, musicians are in a band. They play with other people. Actors are on a stage with other people. A visual artist may be working only by themselves. Picasso is working by himself. But the thing that's great about theater is the synergy of the people together is stronger than any of the individual talents by themselves. That's one of the things I love about theater and the gift of it. I have a great scenic designer in Bert Scott. Eric Haugen's doing a great job with the lights. Lisa Zenni's costumes they'll look like Broadway because she does Broadway a lot. That's what she does. So I think it's the coming together of all that. And then it's my job to create that ensemble. So I've really been working on team building. We've had 2 grill outs of cast and designers and just getting to know each other, because when I'm comfortable with you, I'm willing to risk more on stage.
I love that.
I'm in a safe environment for that. So I've been trying to create a safe environment for play, because after all, it's called a play. It's not called a serious, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I think one of my favorite things, having peeked into the rehearsal room, is watching these folks embody these very famous people, but really recognizing them as individuals and not as caricatures.
Yeah. And in particular, this is all of them. They're all about 21 years old at this point. And Johnny Cash is the oldest. He's 24. Oh, wow. 24 years old.
Yeah, old man in the room.
And he and Elvis both have exploded in like a year and a half from people. And all of them are from the South. All of them have picked cotton at some point. Carl Perkins and his brother Jay are sharecroppers.
Okay.
So their parents don't even own the land.
Right.
Johnny Cash's father, there was a grant from the president to give poor people a lot of land. And that's what happened with Johnny Cash's father, was they got a lot of land. Part of the TVA and the getting out of the Depression.
Sure.
They were working when he was a kid really, really hard just to try to make the land make money for them so they could survive. So they've all had rough lives. And now they're suddenly seeing success, money, fame, and we all know what happens, right?
Yeah.
They get all those things. And Elvis is trapped, unhappy, working with the Colonel in Vegas.
Right.
Johnny Cash becomes a drug addict.
Yeah.
Carl Perkins, who feels like he's on the edge of this greatness, is frustrated that he stays there. He keeps... they're his songs. Blue Suede Shoes is Carl Perkins' song, but once Elvis sings it, everybody thinks it's an Elvis song.
That's right.
And at that time, everybody did covers of everybody else's songs. And a thing that comes up in the musical, but is really to be explored more, is all of them are sitting on the shoulders of all the great R&B work that was done by black artists.
That's right.
At and before that time. The first artists of Sun Record are all black artists. And then slowly it starts moving towards white artists. But they're all saying, oh gosh, that Chuck Berry is so good. They're covering songs, or Sun Records is representing Rufus Thomas at the time. And they did B.B. King, actually. That Sun Records is kind of 2 things. It's the Memphis recording service.
Okay.
That's the recording. And then Sun Records is the producing wing of it. In the record company, when Sam Phillips first starts, he's putting out records for other record companies.
I see.
First. And that's and B.B. King is one of his artists. Right. But eventually he's like, I got to start my own label. I can't get them to print the songs I want. I mean, Sam Phillips' work in really starting rock and roll is quite something. He's driving hundreds of miles, visiting DJs, handing them singles, saying, this is Johnny Cash. He's going to be a star. Play this. And then payola is a part of the world at that time. So he's even paying the disc jockeys to play the songs. And he complains, even when I paid him, they wouldn't play them. Yeah. You know, what makes it played is the callers calling in.
That's right.
Elvis's first hit which is a regional hit. It's not a national hit really until he gets bigger, is That's All Right Mama. It plays on the local radio station. Mm-hmm. And that day there are like 300 calls to repeat that song. So they're like, well, we got to make more of that record. We got to press more of them. Yeah. You know, it was really, it was the demand of listeners, black and white listeners, both, right? In different radio stations, sometimes the same radio station, that really created the hysteria over Elvis and Johnny Cash too.
So you brought up having a cookout, creating this community. You are a friend of the festival. You've been here now a whole bunch of times, you and your wife. And I love hearing that you're building a new community. Most of the actors, they haven't been here before.
A lot of these Million Dollar Quartet actors, it's their first time ever here. For me, the festival's celebrating its 35th anniversary.
Correct.
My first season was 34 years ago.
That's right.
Second year.
That's
in the second year, I played Malvolio on 12th Night. And the thing that's kept me coming back is that it's fun. It's great art. It's very professional theater. And it can be that in a place, but it's not fun to create it. And it's fun here every year. One of the things I like is we're here on campus, so everybody's near each other. You know, we have these apartments that have a quad in the middle that DeSales has really fixed up this year. It's very nice. We have a basketball court now. We have nice tables. We used to create that every year. We would all go get camping chairs and put them out in the grass, and we would get a fire pit that we could make, and we would bring grills and would try to make this sense of fun about it all. We're here in Center Valley, and there's some great restaurants around. The Spring Valley Inn was it 34 years ago. That was like there was no promenade. There was nothing, and now seeing it all grow, these great restaurants and great places to go is great all around. But we also want to get to know each other. So PSF and company management provide grills. So we did a grill out last week on the last day of the week, and we did it again 2 nights ago. Was our last rehearsal that wouldn't go into the evening. Once we go into tech rehearsals, we're 2 to 10, 2 to 11. And I said, hey, you guys want to do a burger and dog night? And everybody was like, yes. It was such, Pennsylvania in the summer. I live in Orlando. So we're not outside so much in July.
Yeah, it's the humidity, not the heat.
Whereas here you get these cool nights that are so beautiful. We've had this blue moon the last few days that's been so beautiful. So it turned into and when people are sitting around and they're sharing a meal together, it creates trust, camaraderie, and kinship beyond the rehearsal hall. And then when I know you, I'm willing to be more vulnerable when I'm on the stage.
I love that you're really making sure that kind of camaraderie, that kind of community, that vibe is carried throughout and continuing, even when we have new spaces and new restaurants and everything's a little bit shinier. You're still helping to maintain the culture and make it feel a little bit like summer camp.
Whether we're on campus or off, we all went to the Copperhead together on the opening night of piano lesson. And then we all went to piano lesson together. And then we all went to their opening night party all together. I don't need to coach these actors on how to play these instruments. They are all masters of those instruments. I don't need to coach them on the lines. They've all played these roles before. I need to provide good blocking, be the audience member for them I didn't understand that. I don't know that. And there are things that are mentioned in the play that I've said, you probably need to slow down and make it clear what that means, because there's they call Jerry Lee Lewis this Liberace over here at one point, which is very funny to me.
It's funny to me.
But to somebody who's
James
25 or under, they have no idea that Liberace was a TV show. He was a very famous piano player, et cetera. So I'm trying to say, how can you say the word in a way that I go, okay, I don't know who that guy is, but clearly we're making fun by saying that word at that time. And just bringing it, because, 56 was a long time ago. The music has stayed with us. I would say probably no matter what your age is, you're going to know most of these songs. They're standard R&B songs. They've been covered many times and are still being covered to this day by Lady Gaga and other people. So you're going to know them. Or you may very well know the originals. Oh, I know. I mean, most people know a pretty decent number of Elvis songs one way or the other.
Yeah.
Right?
Recent years, there's been a really big resurgence of the recordings of Johnny Cash. People are obsessed with him right now. So it is something that is really familiar to most people who love music. And even people who just listen to it in passing. There is a level of familiarity, I think, in part because it's ingrained in the American rock and roll experience.
Yeah. And also, as we move forward, we also reach back. I think there's an interesting thing going on in this generation right now. We were talking about it in the rehearsal process of, I had 45s, and all these are Sun Records puts out singles, right? I had 45s with the little yellow thing that you put in between, and then albums, and having an album and the album work, and then they became CDs, and then CDs became online, and now it's all on Spotify, right? It's streaming. Right. So a lot of the physical being able to hold on to an album, kids don't have today. So what's happening is there's a resurgence of LPs, right? People are buying record players, and that because there's kind of there's an artistic something about that.
Yeah, there's a warmth in the sound.
We've watched Polaroid cameras come back.
Yeah.
Right? We've watched LPs come back. So it's interesting that as we go farther into the future, there's also a reaching back for, I don't know, I'm not sure exactly why. It's not nostalgia. I think it's about wanting something physical. We take digital photos all the time, but a Polaroid shoots out this actually exists.
Yeah.
In the digital world, does it exist or doesn't it?
Yeah. When you think about a Polaroid, it is about capturing a specific moment in time, and you can't keep taking pictures because that one Polaroid has value, and you can't just keep waiting until it is perfect. That's what captures it. So I think that's what brings a lot of charm and beauty to that media that digital doesn't have, because I can just keep, I think about our podcast. I said to Jim before we started, we could just keep recording and I could just clip out whatever you like.
Want, yeah.
I'm taking James out later, so don't worry about that, buddy. But, it really is that idea where we can interact with something maybe as it was meant to be presented.
Yeah.
When you have Spotify, when you have iTunes, it kind of brings us back to the original where you have one song, you have an A-side and a B-side.
That's right.
And you don't have this full epic length album. And that really didn't start until the LPs came out.
It's starting to happen right then. When Elvis goes to RCA, he puts out the first Elvis album.
Amazing.
Johnny Cash, who has said to Sam he really wants, he's a very religious man, and he wants to make a gospel record. And Sam's like, I can't sell gospel records. Well, he ends up making 2 for RCA.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting, the friction between the artist and the recording company. And so many times when an artist really pushes for something that the company says, nope, we can't do that. That ends up being so famous. A famous album of Johnny Cash's past this time is when he records at the Folsom Prison.
That's right.
And he just can't get the record company to get behind it. They're like, no, Dylan has gone electric now. The Byrds have gone electric now. This is just not, no, we're not going back to a prison. And it sounds depressing anyway. Yeah. People don't want to be depressed. Well, the Folsom Prison album outsells the Beatles that year.
Amazing.
So the artist is right, and there's been arguments over in the disc jockey record world, you shouldn't go over 3 minutes.
Okay.
Right? You shouldn't do that. Well, Queen puts out Bohemian Rhapsody. It's like 8.5 minutes long.
That's right.
And they're told, no way, no one will play this. Well, guess what? It did okay, didn't it? It did all right.
That's right.
It's just interesting to watch how things move forward and backwards at the same time. Oh, and I was going to say on the photograph thing, there's a very famous photograph. You'll see it in the play of the $1 Million Quartet around a piano. And what's cool about that is that it is black and white. and it is a little grainy, and it feels like you're reaching back into the past to see it. And I know that photograph pretty well. Well, when this actual happened in the recording session, it was a Carl Perkins recording session that Johnny Cash and Elvis stopped by. Jerry Lee Lewis was playing piano on the session, and he does. When you hear these songs, he's playing it in the actual recording. He's being hired as a session musician. He's fairly new to the market. And Elvis brought his girlfriend with him, Marilyn Evans, who in our play is called Diane, because they actually couldn't find Marilyn Evans for her to give them the rights to use her name. There's this really interesting story of after it was on Broadway, it was on tour and it was in Chicago, and the Chicago Tribune ran an article on where is Diane? Who is this person? And Marilyn Evans lived there and said, oh, that's me. I didn't know that you didn't know who I was. And I didn't really think much of that night. I was just hanging out with Elvis one night. I mean, it's become a famous evening, but at the time it was just a jam session. So anyway, there's this famous recording of the four of them together. Well, guess what? It's not a photograph of four. Marilyn Evans is sitting on the piano, and she got cut out. So in this production, and I'm sure it's in other productions too, I'm like, I think America has done enough cutting out of women over time.
Thank you.
Let's put Marilyn Evans back in the photograph, which she was in the first place, and restore that.
I love that. Thank you for that. That is wonderful. Before we go, I want to give you the last word. What should people know coming into the theater? What makes this new? All of those things.
I don't think you need to know anything before you come to the theater. I mean, if you're a person that I know people that want to read the Shakespeare play before I see it, I want to watch there are great movies that recap all of their lives. The Baz Luhrmann Elvis that was out a couple years ago is really good and would fit very much into this of watching him with Sam playing on the back of a truck. They talk about playing on the back of a truck together only a year ago, where they were making maybe splitting $20 for the entire evening. And now they own Cadillacs and Rocket 88s, and they've got brand new houses, etc. So I mean, by all means, if you want to read up, go ahead and do it. It's very much based on that. We are abbreviating time some. So sometimes, no, that single didn't quite come out then. It was a few months later, but we wanted to get this in. I think what you want to do is come in the spirit to have fun, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to jam.
Thank you so much, Jim. And thank you so much for bringing Million Dollar Quartet to Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival. And we're so excited to share the work that y'all have been doing starting next week.
I hope it makes you $1 million.
As long as we have $1 million butts in the seats, I think we're satisfied.
There you go. It's all about the audience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
Enjoy.
And that wraps up another episode of As You Might It. A big thanks to Jim Helsinger, Jeremy Sevelovitz, and John Gardiner for joining us today. Million Dollar Quartet opens on Friday, June 12th and runs through Sunday, June 28th. For more details on our Million Dollar Quartet special event extras like epilogues, talkbacks, and director's dinners, as well as tickets and more, check out our website at pashakespeare.org or by calling our box office at 610-282-WILL. That's 610-282-9455. For all of us here at As You Might It and Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival, thanks for listening, and we'll see you at La Buddha. Thank you for listening to As You Might It, a Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival presentation recorded on the beautiful campus of DeSales University. Our music is by Cedric Lamar, with hosts Jason King-Jones, Kim Carson, and Connie Behringer. Our podcast intern is James Nardiello. For more information on our summer theater series, giving opportunities, tickets, and more, visit our website at pashakespeare.org. Be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you at La Buddha. Behind every standing ovation is a network of patrons who know that theater changes lives. With tickets funding only half the cost, PSF counts on contributions to produce world-class theater, cultivate new audiences, and nurture future generations of artists. Give today at pashakespeare.org/support. Great theater is a collaboration both on stage and off.